Good morning. I'm higher vibrations, and so are you. This is going to be a really fun conversation. I've been looking forward to this for quite some time. I think we set this up weeks and weeks ago. Before we get started, I do want to point out a couple of things that are happening right now that we just all, of course, this is 9/11, and our hearts go out to all of you who are experiencing anything that's, you know, um, difficult at this time. There's a lot of mourning and understanding for this memorial today, as well as a lot of other things. This is a date that's been uh, uh, very important throughout the ages. There's a lot of significant events that has occurred on this particular day. What's fascinating too is that we have a Friday the 13th coming up, in 2 days. And so I actually looked it up, and it's not been since 2013 that we had a Friday the 13th in the same alignment with 9/11. So I thought that was fascinating. Also, we're all feeling this already, but the lunar activity that we've been feeling, starting with the new moon, has really kind of been profound. This is the most super of the 4 super moons in a row. It's the second one of the 4. This is also the harvest moon, which is the partial lunar eclipse as well. So for any of you who want to to watch the lunar eclipse, this will start at 7:41 Central Standard Time and go until 11:47 Central Standard Time PM. So, think about, your own time zone and everything like that. And then, of course, we're already feeling all this equinox energy too, because the equinox is just around the corner. So there's a lot happening on the calendar. We're starting to be able to feel the energy of that comet that hasn't been here for 26,000 years. It's a galactic year. So anyway, there's a lot going on. We're all feeling it. So I just wanted to point that out because I saw Carmen and Josie in the audience saying that they're feeling some heart stuff. Carmen says it feels, the heart flutters, the heart palpitations are real. They're really going on right now for a lot of us. So just wanted to say that before we got started. And now I get to introduce my lovely guest. Guardian is joining us again. I love you, Guardian. I'm so glad when you get to come and join us. Thank you for coming from Transylvania.
Yeah, I'm sending you all much love from Transylvania. So thank you for all for joining. Yeah, please write in where are you from listening.
Yeah, that would be fun to find out. And then also we have the beautiful Yolanda Marie. For those of you who don't know Yolanda, if you'd like, Yolanda Marie channels on YouTube. I have her channel linked. Click on that link and you get to find some of this awesome content that she produces. We already mentioned that the Arcturians are excited to come in and have information come through Yolanda Marie as a result of this an awesome connection with the Arcturians. So welcome and thank you for joining us, Yolanda Marie.
Thank you for having us. I was missing you.
Thank you. Yeah, I had a little bit of an absence for those of you who saw. I wasn't here on Sunday. My apologies. There was a funeral for my mother that was on Friday, so I was busy. So I'll be back into my normal routine now. So you'll see me on this Friday. We will have our normal Zoom group meeting too, by the way, on Friday the 13th.
Oh, that's an awesome thing you pointed out there too. I don't know if Jay noticed that. I don't notice these things like you do. The Arcturians do have a whole bunch to say, and they specifically were saying to me, because I worry about that a little bit, I'm not paying attention to dates and codes and things like that. I'm just getting what I'm getting and I'm sleeping. Okay. And raising kids. Other than that, I'm just not, do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So they specifically were telling me, don't worry about that. Everything that they want to say is going to lock in with what's already in your consciousness. So what's living in your field right now, what you're focused on, and what you understand, because when you lock into these dates, not only is it a portal, for instance, we just had 9/9, which of course, another thing I didn't even notice till the last minute. I was like, should we have a message about this? They were like, no, calm down, go to sleep, raise your children, But everybody, it's somebody else's job, it's not your job. And so this is what I'm getting now. But yeah, when you lock in on that, so we all come together. So think of it like, in our case, we would say a triangle, but it's really just geometric. Okay, it's whatever. It's however many people, however many consciousnesses, it's the entire world of consciousnesses. But look at it like geometry. We each have what we're locking into, and because we're coming in through this collective portal, if you will, it's going to align perfectly. So it doesn't really matter, you know, from which perspective we come. So anywho, just a little interesting tidbit about that. So I'm excited basically to see what's going to come through now that, because I didn't even think about Friday the 13th isn't necessarily what we think of as a code, right? Like it doesn't have the repeating numbers or the mirrored numbers is what I mean by that. But it is extremely significant in the collective consciousness for a few different reasons. So anyway, I'm excited to see what's going to come through based on that. With this 9/11, we still have grief coming through. And I'm rambling on, but there's one more thing they want to say about 9/11, but I want to let somebody else talk first.
Guardian, would you like to chime in?
I mean, I just have some interesting details maybe about the Friday the 13th.
Yeah, let's hear it.
It may not be completely accurate. I have read this like a long time ago. So like basically the whole thing, like where does this come from? I think during the Middle Ages, during the Holy Crusades, there was like this coup against the Templar Knights and the Pope because like they got very filthy rich because of the Crusades, and like there was like a movement against them, and like they nailed them and killed a lot of them during Friday the 13th. So that's usually where it comes from, or at least that's my information.
Okay.
And they've hidden the number 13. I've been really drawn to that the past couple of years, especially. You know, if you notice, most times if you go to like a hotel or something like this where there's many floors, 13 won't exist. The 13th room won't exist. It just gone, you know, and as we all know,
The shadow dimension.
yeah. And the 13th month.
Extremely,
Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, it's extremely significant. Yes, in the 13th month. I want to let you go ahead, but I just definitely, it's been hidden. Specifically, there are certain codes that we're supposed to have, certain alignments we're supposed to have in knowledge. And so if it's hidden, we can't, there's a key missing. There's a piece of the puzzle missing and we can't lock in. 13 is also extremely significant for divine feminine. And a lot of the feminine is missing on purpose to hamper the especially sexual energy, sexual feminine energy, and not necessarily sexual, this is just to say it for whoever crosses the video, the consciousness listening now, they understand this, but just lock this in. Sexual doesn't necessarily mean the act of intercourse, but it's sexual divine energy. We think of it as sexual because of the way it physically feels in our body, okay? Because it's for procreation and it produces orgasm and a release, okay? And floods of oxytocin throughout our bodies. In order to aid in that and in order to heal and form bonds. Okay, we're bonding with this oxytocin. So imagine taking this away from the feminine principle almost in totality in many different cultures. So we're not allowed to feel the release of the oxytocin without guilt, without shame. The number 13 is very scary. It's associated with murder. It's associated with death. We can't have it, right? It's missing from hotel floors. It's missing from songs. It's missing from, you know, whatever else you can say. But 1 and 3 is 4. That's balance. It's balance. Balance is missing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that also brings us to the importance of the symbol of the 13th zodiac. The 13th zodiac is a water serpent. And guess what? This 17th, which is this lunar eclipse, this is the full moon. This is the harvest moon we've been waiting for. This is this dragon energy, this water dragon energy. And she is divine feminine. She is very powerful. And she's coming in like a mama bear. And she's like, you know, like, get the F away from my kids kind of energy. Like, it's that kind of raw. And I'm finding it to be very fascinating how she's coming in so powerfully right now. And that is the 13th zodiac.
This is crazy. So can I add one more thing?
Please.
So one of the things that they expressly said to talk about, and I love how this lead-in just happened, is that men and women, whether you have a womb or not, you know, if you're a woman and you've been through menopause, you've had a hysterectomy, doesn't matter. If you're a man, you obviously don't have a uterus, but you have a womb. The womb energy is so important right now. Men might be feeling like they are even, I'm giving birth, but there's somebody's like, don't say that though. But like maybe not physically giving birth, but like birthing something, creation, protection, like fathering. There's a lot of father, mother energy because there's something new coming about, but they didn't go farther with me. I feel like more is going to come to pass throughout this hour here because they just stopped. You know what I mean? They just gave me that and then they stopped. They said the mother, the father, people are going to be feeling weird stuff that they haven't felt before. My kids, my oldest is 20. You guys know this. I still feel like, you know, I'm going to breastfeed. This is a lot of information. I'm sorry, it's TMI, but you're going to smell the smells from when a kid was just born. That's all I'm saying. Like there's might be coming out of your pores. That's all I'm saying. So people should be ready for this. If they are having this, it doesn't mean you're necessarily pregnant or going to have a baby necessarily, but there is an idea. Thank you being birthed. And then the idea is going to come to fruition much more quickly because of this roar. Thank you for putting the dragon to it and the 17th to it and all of that. That's amazing.
It's really a profound energy. Go ahead, Guardian.
Yeah, like regarding, yeah, you said that giving birth energy and that sensation. I think like Pamela said once that I was reporting this type of hip issue that just like comes out of nowhere. That's like very, like my hips are acting very strange and very unpleasant. And like you said, like it's like a pre-birthing phase something. Yeah. I never gave birth, I don't know. So is it that?
That's correct.
Okay. So we're experiencing that too. And it's very strange because it comes out of nowhere. Like I managed to like resolve my joint issues and it just like comes back out of nowhere and it goes away the other day. So
yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
And this is actually leading into another point that we're at right now, having to do with the 17th window, is that the way that things work, as we know, it's all things in spirit are gradual. That's just how it works. It's in order for lasting results to occur, it must be gradual. And so with this gradual nature, the way that spirit energy works, we've been in the birth process throughout the last week of August and through the remainder of pretty much of this month, September. This is like when you're pushing. This is the part that sucks. You know, and so there's a lot of this birthing kind of energy coming through for a lot of people. It's and before I forget to mention this, Yolanda Marie mentioned the nursing, the breastfeeding thing, and this is the memory. That's what that code's about, because we're realizing we're not learning anything new. We're recalling. That's why we're using our hippocampus and not our frontal cortex. This is different. So it's just something that if you know where in your brain it's happening, then you can do a spirit cleansing in your body easier. So.
That's awesome. I also wanted to point out, so 13, 1, 3, 4, 8, 8, another stabilization. Even though 8 and 8 is 16, it was really 8, 8, 8. Okay, so that's what 2, 4, that's 6, another stabilization, and then 1, 7, 8, another stabilization. So at each of these points, we're evening out and stabilizing. So through the politics and through the wars that are happening, okay, the huge destabilization of communities that are happening, and we're not seeing all of it. This is just what our human is allowed to maybe catch via some, social media and people who are whistleblowing. Okay, so I don't mean to bring all that in, but it is in the consciousness of people who are going to come through, even though we're creating beyond that, right? So, but there is a stabilization happening underneath that is not allowing, that can be a huge deterrent, a huge distraction from the stabilizing and the steadying that's happening of the heart, the creation of the baby, okay, that's now going to have all the codes, because not only are we here and we are realigned and yet adding more, actually building more into new things, actually, but the babies are coming in, okay? The hybrids and the babies and your babies, you two. Okay, so that's a great example. These little ones, you know, little ones is like through what, 12? So little ones are big ones, but little ones, they're still little guys, you know? So I think that's all I wanted to say. Okay.
Guardians
Yeah.
is especially little too. She's just a little teeny one.
What am I?
You're baby girl. Sorry, I just love little people.
Yeah, like today we spent a lot of time together. Like she had to stay home because she got some kind of virus thingy. So we did a lot of cuddling and being together, like giving her supportive energy through the difficult process of healing.
Yeah.
There is, as we come to this understanding of this, okay, this is what we're doing. We're in the birthing process, and then here comes all these new little guys. Then they're turning on. Okay, so like, it's not just the babies, you know. It's not just I mean, let me say this differently. It's also the fur babies. You know, there's so many people who have been contacting me and saying, do Ascension symptoms affect our pets and our animals? And yeah, 100%, you know, and we're all going through this right now. And it's a profound change in mind and body is the definition of a spiritual awakening. If you look at it in a, you know, like dictionary format, and a profound change in mind and body, we've had multiple of these already, though this particular month we're finding that it's happening more. And here's something else, and just to add to this, you know, before I forget, is that another thing that I'm getting a lot of reports for are people who are still very young, who are feeling like they're going through menopause, like way early. Okay. You know, and so there's this interesting shift in the divine feminine body.
Pamela, it could be the shedding, and some of this is physical. Some of them will, like, they'll develop like fibroids, something like that, and it will have to be shed. It will have to be taken out. The more of the womb trauma, the trauma of the mother, because that's what's really needing the balance. So, and that's what's coming from the men too, whether they have a womb or not. There's the shedding and the trauma, and this is, I know, like, you are currently in a piece of this yourself. I know. Just another layer of clearing, totality of clearing something out. It's just, yeah, I understand it very much.
Speaking on that, I'd like to mention this. I find this fascinating because, you know, we don't understand the power of the family line until they've gone, you know, they've passed. And one of those is the power of, and I'm saying this because I'm in a female body. I'm in guardian. I'm not excluding you or any other male individual present. However, I didn't realize the power of the three, the mother, self, daughter. This trinity of the three. This is something that we've been utilizing, you know, and like, if you look in some of these older texts, you'll see that, like, you know, what witchcraft, you know, was designed to be in this loving way. It's done most powerfully with the mother and the daughter and then, you know, the self as also the feminine. And when my mom passed, she's not left. It's, in fact, she's more available. But all of a sudden, she's just free of all that crap. And so now I just want to hug her more than I ever did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but it's just something that I became very aware of. And so I thought it'd be good to bring that up.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah. I don't know. I have a little bit to, when my mother passed, it was so long. It was so much earlier, Pamela, that it's not quite the same. Because I didn't know so much, right? It would be a lot different now. But I did understand she wasn't gone. I sort of me back then, this isn't applying to anyone else, but the me back then, in a way used that, I'm not implying at all that's what you're doing. That's not what you're doing. I have to preface that because it might sound like that, but this is what I did. Some people do this, but I understood that. So I sort of put a blanket on myself and didn't fully let myself grieve because I did know she was right there. So, and I felt her, you know what I mean? Yeah. But interestingly, she stayed in a layer. Am I supposed to say this? Yeah, okay. It was before there was a shift on the planet where a lot of souls could fully move, okay? It was before that. This was 20 years ago. So she stayed in a layer that was more connected, at least the human stayed in a layer where she was still more connected to the human, the memories, the trauma, all that. And she's just now in the past, I'm going to say 2.5, 3 years, finished. Maybe 4 years, right? Finished clearing all that, and we've rebonded in spirit. So she's like her higher self was already a part of my ancestry. So I already had met her higher self and had her higher self's name, who is Syrian, from Sirius. But the human was still, I felt the judgment. I felt the shame. Those things hadn't fully cleared like I thought they had, and they kept clearing throughout the past 4 years. Like something like that. And so now she's in. So now when the ancestors speak to me, she's with them, like the human part. Okay, so you guys, this is going to sound weird because a lot of people might be like, what are you talking about? The human part, the serious part. So you can speak to a being, not just a human, in different perspectives, because time is really a pinpoint. It's a prick. There's a nexus point, and everything comes from that. So you can pick a point at any point and find that relevant aspect that you need to ask something to, that you require something of. If you need to heal something from that point in time of that person, you can find that, okay? And so there was some healing and some things that needed to come to pass between myself and her human that weren't done yet from the point in time that she had passed. Anyway, so this could be happening with many people. You can already be speaking with the higher self and have the higher self of someone with you, but there's another perspective that you might have some other stuff to iron out. Right. Okay, I hope I'm making sense here. Yeah. But it's a little convoluted, right? But that is what indeed is happening. They all have the same perspectives we do. They all have a dragon, well, most will have a dragon, especially people connected to us, they will have, beings from other planets, and some of them will be really close to you, and some of them will be a little bit more distant and not be as connected to your experience here. And all of that is going on. And it's just a testament to how powerful this experience is that humans on the planet right now, we're coming into a time where it's almost like coming out of the Middle Ages. Yeah. And boom, it's like suddenly we're aware that we have all this power to talk to these many different perspectives, glean their knowledge, be bestowed gifts even, be trained by them, and then have all this ability to then, move the planet into a completely different future and destiny. And we've done that about 3 times already. Collectively, we've shifted a few times. And so, yeah, as usual, that ventured off at somewhere I didn't know it was going to go. But yeah, interesting anyway.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, like, do we want to talk about the sleep aspect of things? Like how people are sleeping, what are we experiencing? We talked about it, that things are ramping up and we have some very intense dream time and astral experiences during the night. Like in my case, and what I've heard from other people, it's just like very vivid dreams, but I didn't really recognize like important patterns to like recognize. I mean, in the sense that your subconscious is trying to bring your attention over some kind of topic that you should be addressing, for example, because that can also happen. Like you have something in your life that you're avoiding, and during the dream time when you're not an autopilot and your ego mind is turned off, and then your subconscious is like blasting you like, look at this, like you need to resolve this crap.
Right. Yeah, the dream time with the capital D, you know, like this, the code, I've been getting the same thing, and the sleep has been crazy. It's just been like, however, the theme that I keep seeing is what we've already been talking about, is that it's addressing the unseen children is basically the way to word it. The unnoticed, the misplaced is another way to say it. There are many of them that are coming to the forefront now to be seen, you know, in ways that some of us might not find very enjoyable to find or to discover. And I think that's probably why so many of us are having this parent, whether we call it mother, but guardian has it, you know, Carmen has it, you know, the different male embodiments that we have this, what I mean when I say motherly instinct of, you want to take care of, protect this baby, that, you know, it's just a nurturing aspect of who you are, you know, and we're feeling it coming forward for a reason, you know, and I did hear this, like Donna just said this, this new species, you know, I'm just going to say this, and I'm going to let you guys decide what you, but I had at least one experience where I'm very aware that I agreed, and there's a baby someplace that I didn't raise. I didn't adopt this child. It has had to do with beings. And I know that this is a uncommon topic to discuss, though I'm bringing this up only to say that though I've not had this child in a physical place, close proximity to me, since that I was in my the end of my first trimester, I am still aware of this child. I still remotely experience this child. And these children who are, I guess you could call them hybrids, will be finding their way down to participate and assist us in a galactic and earthly way soon. You know, so I don't know why I said that out loud to y'all, but there you go.
It's awesome. No, I don't think, and I'm not even sure maybe it's uncommon to talk about lately, but you know, a few years ago there was, I mean, I know I had a big discussion about it and came to some realizations. When I was first even waking up, I came to some realizations that I was leaving nightly at that time. Okay, so then I backed up and found out earlier things, but I was leaving pretty much nightly to be on a starship. Now, I suppose for people passing through that could seem odd, you know, like this lady thinks that no, but I was leaving, and it was out of time. So my physical body was going and getting on a ship. It wasn't just my energy, because your energy body can be many places. Our energy bodies are often on different planets, different ships. We're you know, could be right now, you know, doing something different and having a completely different meeting. But I'm talking about the physical body was somewhere else, and experiments were happening, research was happening, and I would come back and be as if I'd never left.
Yeah.
Okay, so when I was married, it would be like as if I never left the bedside. Do you know what I mean? Like the person would not really know. But then I began to, and I did notice marks on me before I asked, but then I began to ask for like a mark, a way for me to identify, like, was I imagining this? Was this like a fantasy in my head, or was I mistaking this? In other words, like making a mistake, like it was the energy body or something else. And I was then given evidence that this had happened. Okay, and was happening. And then I willingly participated. And then I was allowed to even be able to remember much of it. Right. After that point. Okay, up to about 3 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
So, and then, and so earlier on, imagine if we're able to do that. Yeah, of course, we can have inseminations and things happen so that we can create these hybrids that will then come, and they are giving it to me. They're using the word stabilize again. I mean, I don't want to be redundant, but, you know, like they're going to come at a certain point when they're able to just cement what's happened here. Is what I'm getting. That's just through what I'm getting. I'm sure somebody else will be more specific. But, you know, yeah, I totally resonate with what you're saying. That's the point.
Thank you.
It's not weird at all.
Yeah, like that's how I started out too. Like those were my initial experiences when I had my awakening. It was very,
Mm.
very wild, to say the least. And like that's how I first met my little daughter. So
Oh,
it was in 2013, like when we came together with my then girlfriend, now wife, and I started to have experiences with this little girl on the ship. And I'm like, oh, like if she's going to be our daughter. And I think we had like several experiences together. And yeah, like that was like 6 years before she was born. So we were like, when is she going to arrive? And like when we first knew that we were going to have a baby, and we went to the first doctor's checkup, and she was like, "Oh, it's a boy," and we were like, "What?" Like, what? Like we were like so disappointed. Like we were so expecting a little girl, and we were like, yeah, we didn't want to like admit it for days, but after a few days, we like came out like we're so disappointed that he's a boy. And on the next checkup, that she was a girl. So okay, we're back on track.
they're like, whoops.
Yeah.
Our bad. It's a girl. That's funny.
It was Carl. He's new.
We're not expecting.
Oh.
But yeah, like it's very interesting. And I also remember like it's like very rare. I only think like I heard like 2 other cases of like people who are also having ET experiences, like meeting their children very early on,
Mhm.
like very, very early on, way before they, I don't know, like they were even married or were old enough to have kids, but they knew like, hey, like I recognize my child as a soul, and
Right.
they were expecting them. So it's very interesting that these things happen to also to other people.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I had the same thing. And well, I was told growing up throughout my late teens, early 20s and stuff that I wasn't going to be able to have a baby. They never told me why, though. And back
Oh my
then, they
God.
didn't really tell you stuff. I was in Utah,
All right.
you know, but I started to dream about this little girl with blonde pigtails. And like, and I saw a lot of different moments where we had conversation, her eyes and everything. And then fast forward, it was foresight is what I had, because those moments that I had seen, it had occurred exactly as I saw them. You know, I didn't even realize I was setting up the scene until it occurred. I'm like, that
Wow.
that was the moment that they showed me, as if I was made to prepare for her.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Were you having the foreshadow or the foresight, like even before, like, or during the time they were telling you couldn't have
Yeah.
like kids? No. Yeah, that's
I just
amazing.
assumed it was someone else's kiddo that I was, because I wasn't expecting to be a mother. All of my friends who had kids, I would borrow their kids, you know, and they were happy to have the break, you know. So I was like the best aunt, you know, and like I'd take them for weekends and take them do all the stuff and, you know, just get all the mothering in. And then so I just assumed it was a child that was someone else's.
And then surprise.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
It was a really good story. So. She's a little starseed too. She's been her connections with she calls them hybrids. These friends that she talks to, and she's telling me that through into November, we're going to start to see more and more of these ETs, these individuals. She tells me every time she corrects me to call them ETs. You know, she doesn't, not to call them aliens because that's rude.
Okay. Well, if she's listening, she's telling us that, I'll take note, and I will only say ET as well.
All right. But you know, something that just happened, just barely happened is in the news, I don't follow the news, but it was something that came up on YouTube, is that they just gave out handbooks to at least one part of the U.S. I don't know if it was through the whole country, to the police force to teach them how to deal with and handle spacecraft and different beings as they come in and interact, and that they deemed it a safety hazard. This just happened yesterday, so I find that fascinating.
Good luck with that.
Rolling out. It's turning from soft disclosure to hard disclosure. You know, it's going to keep rolling out. The cat's out of the bag now. Yeah. You know, and we knew this was going to happen, but it's just so strange that it's so official. For me, it's official. There are many people still kind of denying that, you know, some of it's a hoax and false flags. And that's true, too. That's actually true. There are false flags, but there are also real things happening.
Yeah.
And it's for the purpose of, you know, people whose hearts haven't quite, I mean, a lot of hearts are cracking open that we can't see. They're not showing us, but they're still, you know, sort of linked back in very hardcore to the distractions and all of that, but they're meant to crack open more. So it's like there's a higher reason for a lot of the rollouts of soft information, and the beings, a lot of the humans that are participating, some of them are aware, but some of them have no idea why what the higher reason is. It's just happening because it's supposed to happen.
Right.
You know? And so it's sort of like we can just sit back and enjoy the ride. I mean, you know, we already know this. We can just sit back and enjoy the ride and enjoy seeing it roll out while we build. You know, we're the builders. Yeah. So it's important not to get pulled back. When we get pulled back into the distractions, and that keeps coming through me because I am tuned into a collective, and it is a large collective. Okay. It's a very large collective. And believe me, it's not necessarily by choice, but it's just, it's like their higher selves are ready for them to lift. And it's like they're still I'm like a broken record, and I realize it, you know, but it's the distractions are keeping the weight. Yeah. Does it matter to those of you listening, right, who are not weighted down? Not so much necessarily, but if you're hearing this message, you just have a small role to play in just acknowledging it, being aware of it, so that when you do, it's sort of like an affirmation, I guess, or a confirmation. That's a better word. Sort of like a confirmation, like, okay, this is my go ahead to stay exactly where I am. This person will lift, instead of worrying about it, I guess.
Right.
You know, because I do feel like a broken record. I don't know if you guys ever feel like that, and teachers listening. Sometimes I'm like, is that it again? But yeah, this is what we're saying, you know?
Yeah.
You have to nail those fundamentals.
Right.
Practice, and work on it always.
Right. Always. Yeah.
And every time something comes forward, it's coming forward for a reason. And so I try to step out of the way of deciding if it's important or not and just say it, because it's there. It's there to be said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like the importance of needing to ground right now. Guardian has really been saying this a lot lately. Get outside while you still have a chance. You know, for all of you that are. Yeah, he started saying it, and I was like, I forgot that it gets cold here because it stays warm so much longer than it does up north. You know, but the need to ground right now, in particular, during this window of time, is essential. You know, is there any other tips that we can guide and assist the individuals watching right now to help them in this energy right now?
Well, yeah, actually, when you said ground, we can actually ground immediately. They showed me again the grid coming from, and this might seem strange, but coming actually from not really the frontal lobe. I don't know, but there's like electricity they're showing me, and you can ground this way. You don't necessarily have to be outside to ground, because there's no space or time anyway. It's where you focus your consciousness. And so you can ground to Earth Mother's, what they're calling the new grid. They're giving me this now. What we can go ahead and call the new grid, right? which is really electricity. Everything's lifting anyway, everything's shifting. Okay, so the atomic structure even. So that's the physical level, right? That's like what we think of as today's physics.
Right.
That's already also speeding up, and as strange as that is, but we know it's going to shift into a whole different, we won't even be calling them atoms. It's shifting completely. And they were correcting me something about atoms, but I missed that. But there's something that's going to shift, okay, physically anyway, and we know that because it's going to move more like what we think of as just light, just like it's more of a light structure instead of what we think of as solid. That is happening. So when you're grounding, so when you come through the winter months and there's not the sun you need and the vitamin D, okay, when you're not getting enough of the vitamin D and they say it's a flu season and all of this stuff, you can counter that by staying grounded in through this electric grid with your consciousness just to this new grid, just by focusing, get sleep, drink water. If you're concerned about your water, transmute the energetic structure of your water with this focus. Okay, now listen, nobody is saying go drink sewer water. Okay, you guys, be very conscious about your water still. Like, try to get the best quality water you can, but don't freak out. Nobody freak out. This stuff, it's the same as when we were talking about jabs, and we didn't get a whole lot into it. I think we just barely like grazed it in one of the times that all three of us were talking. Okay, but when there's a wave of somebody that wants to shoot you with something, okay, don't panic. Because everything, we're grounding in an entirely new grid. Whatever somebody is going to come at us with from the old physical structure, we can transmute, okay?
Right.
The same way that our structure is changing, the power is coming through us to do that, all right? Link into your higher knowledge. You guys keep going. Don't think that you've hit a ceiling and there's no more aspects and there's no more knowledge and there's no more stuff. There's more stuff. There's more stuff. So yeah, keep going. And you're going to find more ways to transmute all of this and completely avoid the conversation with a government, a city council, a tax collector, or whatever it is, whatever the new argument is. Focus into your higher aspects, whatever that means to you. Get the knowledge to transmute your situation on your own. Okay,
Orange
that's it. I know.
I'm always, orange juice is really important. I don't know what the deal is with that, but whenever we connect with this stuff, orange juice. Oh, go on.
Right. Well, vitamin D too, because they brought up vitamin D, vitamin C. You've got your calcium in there. It looks like sunshine. I think it was perfect.
Liquid sunshine.
Liquid sunshine.
I almost sang a song just now. I'm glad I didn't. What about you, Guardian? What's your what would you like to add to that question? Do you have any tips?
Yeah, like the interesting stuff you said, like how we are shifting, and also like we won't be having atoms, or like we won't be considering them what they are right now, or something similar. I didn't fully understand.
Right. Sorry.
Yeah, like our whole reality is shifting, and like it will still have like a tangible aspect to it. So it's shifting gradually. So many people who are like not aware and present say like, oh, like it's nothing's happening and everything's the same. But if you're like really paying attention, like there are like so many little signs that the shift is occurring. I think like also in the chat, like we were talking about these strange sky events and phenomena, like seeing double rainbows, double suns, and like the stars have a different color to them during the night, and like also like time speeding up. Like I don't know, like the day goes by so fast. It's like insane. Like it's crazy how fast things happen now, because like things are becoming higher vibrational. Like things are speeding up, like raising their vibration, and also like everything is becoming lighter, and like we can also manifest stuff much more easily, and whatever you do, like stuff comes back to you very quickly. So if you do something very positive or something very nasty, like it reverberates back very quickly now. like maybe
Yeah.
even that day.
Right.
Like maybe 10 years ago, like things are much slower, and like manifestation was like much more sluggish, and because like things were much more dense, and if it's dense, it's heavier, and it's not able to move and shift so easily as it can now.
It's
Which
funny, there's an
circles right
energetic
back
component.
to. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, Pam.
Well, just really quickly, that circled us right back to the womb energy, because that's the manifestation chakra. You know, that's creation. No matter if you're male or female in form, you have this manifestation chakra. It's in the place where the womb is at, and there's no, it's not a coincidence. There are no coincidences in this life. You know, so keeping that in mind, that's also why we have this Buddha belly stuff happening. Water flows where light must glow, because that's when healing is done. So, sorry, go ahead, Yolanda Marie.
No, that was brilliant. I'm glad that you, yeah, I shouldn't have been cutting you off. I just had this thing come about energetic communication when Guardian was talking about how everything, like it's speeding up, right? So he did like this hand to imitate the frequency, which activated me. And it's like, yeah, because information is going to be, I want to come back to the womb stuff though, by the way, but yeah, information is coming in so much more quickly too. And so that's another thing about, you can get a hold of your circumstances in a different way. It doesn't mean it's going to shift overnight or anything like that. It could though. However, as per what Guardian just said. So it definitely can, but it doesn't mean it has to. Remember the balancing, the steadying. That's why we're landing on all of these solid numbers, these numbers that have one, you know, 3 on one side, 3 on the other, 2 on one side, 2 on the other. Think of that in a literal way, which is not something we typically do in these conversations. We usually don't think in the literal fashion, but in this case with the numbers, you should, in terms of how you want to picture it in your mind in order to feel balanced and create, you know, instead of off kilter. But you have the 3 coming together to the womb for creation. When you were talking about the womb energy, well, let me just say with Guardian first, what they wanted me to say is the whiplash. And then I had something to say about the womb energy. The whiplash. So a lot of it is because there's an energetic component. So you might feel like, oh my gosh, that slapped me back in the face so fast, this little thing. And not necessarily something you did to someone else, but just something that was out of balance. And boy, did the universe let you know more immediately. But it's really your own communication. It's like the evidence of it appears more quickly because everything is moving faster, if that makes sense. Part of this too is your guides, our guides, and our higher selves are just sort of like, we've told them, okay, let's speed it up. We've given them the go ahead. So our higher selves and guides are like giving us a spanking sometimes, which, right, you know, that's another way to look at it. It's another way to look at it. And it depends. With the creative energy, when we talked about that divine feminine, and this goes for men and women, it's not just for women, it's all of it. It takes both of us to create. It takes masculine and feminine to create. So this does not exclude men. You have all these energies, and we need women, the feminine, need your component to finish the creation, and you need us. So it's not an exclusion. But the dampening of the pleasure, that is a huge thing. It just wants to be pointed out. It's not, I'm not encouraging a lot of sexual activity. That's not what this is about. But there has been an association with shame to the degree that it dampens and hampers our ability to create. That's not only in a sexual fashion, it's the joy we get from physically creating something and owning the ability to celebrate it with our neighbor, be proud of ourselves, be proud of you. And there's the word pride. Okay, so there's a frequency and a connotation on the word pride that we can begin to let go of now that our hearts are aligning with what the entire planet needs. Right. So you can let go of not being proud of yourself gradually. Remember, like Guardian said, and this is true, we'll get slapped back if we get, like we've given the go ahead. We're not going to get too far out of control, okay? But we should celebrate each other. Yeah. Okay, and enjoy that. This is going to move a lot faster if we do that, you guys.
Yeah. The low self-worth bullshit is keeping the population of this planet in a lower frequency. The end. If we can, Get over our crap about, if you look up, I know a lot of you all came from the same culture that I did, and this part of the culture is do everything in your power to avoid vanity. Well, guess what? If you look up vanity in the dictionary, that means seeing yourself above your fellows, and it also says or below your fellows. We humble ourselves so far below the rest of everyone else that we are meant to come last. Excuse me. Throat chakra. And like we do this in a regular way for so much of our lives, we don't even see that we've been doing it, and it's crazy the emotional response a person will get when I tell them that I love them, when I tell them good job. And they've never heard that before and not allowed themselves to hear it. Let yourself hear it, people. I know it's weird, but you feel cringe inside saying something nice to yourself. Why? That's a broken part of us. Let's fix it. We're in a place to resolve our trauma, not to perpetuate it. You opened a really important point there. So
thank you for saying all of that. I just wanted to dance. I wanted to get up and dance while you talk. Kay said something on it's already got, I don't know if it's still there. She said all of creation feels like sexual energy, but in its highest form. And I just happened to notice while you were talking, and I feel like that's very important to start to and there's a lot more to work through. I personally have a lot more to work through. And I know collective we have a lot more to work through. So I don't think anybody's saying here, just do it and it's done. I mean, this is a process.
Yeah.
But that is connected to this as well. It's the joy factor. It's the what am I allowed to feel? And you guys, oh my gosh. And actually, Guardian, from the male perspective, this is so true in a different way. It'd be great if we could get your opinion on this. But Pamela, you understand from the feminine perspective, because you asked me, what about, the relationship with women? I don't know if you remember this, but we got a little bit into this conversation about it. But this creates the competition and feeds the old structure of needing to fight for resources. Well, resources can also be approval, love, well-being, security, safety. Women needing to fight each other for the safety of the masculine. It is completely ridiculous from a higher perspective, right? It's just like, it's mind-blowing to a higher being, which is now, guys, that's you. That's now us. We are coming into being this higher being that we've been separating from ourselves. And now you can let yourself look at this from that perspective, like, wow. So that was a ridiculous moment.
What do you think? Why are we doing this again? Yeah, but what did you want me exactly to elaborate on from my perspective?
From the masculine, I was thinking about how women, because I know in my human experience as a human woman, there's a lot of feminine competition, or has been, and it's just sort of created, from the masculine, the out of balance masculine perspective. Let's not say masculine, maybe we say patriarchal, because it feels like I'm vilifying all men, and that's not what's happening. But it's just the masculine overarching energy that has come out of balance on the planet, and which is why we're, launching out of this and balancing things. That's what I'm talking about. So it sort of put women in competition with each other for safety, for security, for love, and still denying us the ability to feel pure pleasure and joy without the shame.
Yeah.
Okay. Not just meaning sexual, but yes, it includes that. It just does.
Well, it did for quite some time. I think we only broke new ground in the past maybe 100 years or so. So, and there are still, I think, certain groups of people, or maybe cults or something, that are really suppressing this type of energy and knowledge. But but there's also the other aspect to it of it, going to the other extreme, and it's destructive. So. you have to keep stuff in balance, and we're not really good at that. We're still learning how to do that on every level, basically.
I think there's still lots of shame in there. I think it's still very suppressed in just a normal, like if you just go to the Pick and Save or whatever your supermarket is, like I think that even though people may be speaking as though they feel they're allowed to speak about it, there's still so much trauma that's yet to be released. And the masculine, that competition is different. So they're being forced to compete against each other too, or have been, I should say. We're coming out of that. Our reality is now becoming something different. We're building something different. But yeah, there is an unnatural, forced competition between men as well to prove themselves, to make the most money, to look a certain way. And it'll vary according to the culture. Cultures are different. But yeah, there's
It's
this,
very noticeable
it's
to
still
me.
competition for resources. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I also recognize it, and I still don't understand it. Like, I come from a very different perspective, and I still recognize those patterns within myself too. For some reason, it's still there, and I don't really know what to do with it so far. So, but yeah, I totally recognize it in certain social situations. Like, it comes up out of nowhere. I'm like, hey, like, why do I think about this way, or why did this come up? Like, doesn't really make sense, but I don't really know how to approach it or what to do with it yet. So, yeah, like, it's a great question.
You know, in my experience, the basis of it typically is there's first, this is in your formative years, if a female has intercourse, she's a slut. That's just kind of the word that's accepted in the circles, you know, and typically that's considered, that's not something you want, that's undesirable, you know. And if you see highly of yourself in any way, if you don't see yourself in a low way, rather, then you're full of yourself, and you're you know, there's a lot of different things like this, but this is the one that I find the most funny, is that growing up and throughout my adulthood, I would be the one in the room okay, what happens in the background for the guys in the audience, and Guardian, this is for your benefit too, is that typically what will happen if there's more than one woman in a room, and there's a even semi-desirable man present, then there'll be this unseen cat fight happening, this little war. And
yeah, I know, I've seen that. Yeah,
you have seen that. And it's,
I also recognize the subtle signs.
I'm the one that is known for, at some point I get so tired of it because I'm not actually engaging, but they're trying to get me to engage. I'll blurt out, just out of frustration, just F him, you know, like, leave me out of it. You know, get it on and leave me alone. I'm not participating. But this is a cultural thing. Like, this is something that, you know, and it's about demeaning each other. It's you know, and what occurs mostly in this competition is the other female will make the other female in the room feel bad and point out their flaws, and it's disgusting. Though I can say that over the past few years in my life, I've not had those experiences as much. Most of the women that are entering my field are supporting of one another, because you know what, we're not in competition. We're here to support each other. You know, straighten your crown, queen. You got this.
It's the heart frequency, huge difference. I think a lot of, you know, star seeds that didn't know they were star seeds, like me, I didn't know back in the day, a lot of us felt out of place when that was happening. I know I did way back in adolescence and all that. You see all that, and even if you feel like you're supposed to participate, and I feel like I'm speaking for a lot of people, but I don't know. So hopefully somebody comments or just let us know. But I definitely feel like a lot of us set ourselves back, and it sort of made us stand out in a bad way. I stood out in a horrible way. I was like the person who got made fun of. It wasn't, you know, very cool, except what I did, my accomplishments were cool. You're great as long as you're doing everything perfect, but, you know, you're a nerd, you look horrible, you don't fit here, you don't fit there. A lot of us were like that. We didn't fit anywhere enough to be part of that whole circle of competition. But if you were in the circle of competition, even though you were getting beat up, you fit, you know, but that's the heavier, denser energy and the weight of that. And I think us refusing, a lot of us, whether you realized or not that this was happening, look into your consciousness, not you, well, you guys too, but I'm talking to the greater, whoever's going to come and hear this, right? Search into your consciousness a little more deeply and see if you can remember a time that was happening. That might have been what put you on the outs, just not participating so much in these sorts of competitions, not knowing what to do, not understanding the rules. What are the rules of this even? What's the purpose of this?
Right.
So instead your art or your singing or whatever it was for you, you're swinging from a tree, whatever it was for you.
Right.
Yeah, like feeling like an outsider, like an alien coming from a different planet, and like, what are you people doing? What is this about?
Yep.
Yeah, like being the odd one because you don't understand.
Yeah.
I'm a weird case, is that I fit into every group. I didn't even know I was popular because I wasn't part of any particular group and I just didn't care. And but I was known for my violence because I would beat up all the bullies that were beating up the kids, that I was just like, I would go get my little brothers and bring them to the library and we played D&D together. I'd call them my brothers, and like, and I was known for that. In fact, the end of the year, they give the annual of the year book and most people would sign, "I'm glad I'm your friend and not your enemy." But at the same time, I never really felt like I belonged anywhere. What was that?
I remember a conversation you had with Todd Medina about that. And I always remembered that you said you used to take care of the bullies.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't mean to interrupt, but it was just coming back to me when you were talking about it.
I just had a lot of energy to get somewhere. So, and that was where, I don't know, it would turn on when I still am that person. I'm the fighter of the underdog. In fact, in our house, we still don't use the word dwarf for dwarf planets because they all get to be planets. Leave them alone. And my daughters also joined in on that.
Yeah.
But I wanted to point something out because I know we left it for a minute. There was a lot of comments that they were talking about different things to do with your water, to charge your water. Something happened to me a couple of days ago. And so I got this selenite plate that you put your water on or drinks of any kind and it charges it. And it's really cool. And out of curiosity, I put this, it was processed. It was iced coffee from the grocery store. I put it on the plate and this is what happened to it. Let's get it lined up. Look, it broke into all these pieces. Like,
oh my goodness,
shattered.
That's selenite. That's the selenite grid.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it shattered.
It's very thick.
Yeah, it's super thick. Look how thick that is. Let's see. Hold on. I'm delayed.
Was the coffee too hot?
It was iced coffee. It wasn't hot. I know.
What the F?
And so this is just making a point is that these things know. They look how thick that is. It's not like it's like super fine.
Yeah, like you have to like drop it on the pavement or something to break that thick thing. Oh, by the way, like I also once, like I don't wear crystals anymore, but in the beginning I had like this big of an obsidian. Like it was like this big of a pendant. It was like this thick. It was a pretty heavy one, but you could wear it. And I usually I had it around my neck. And once when I woke up in the morning, it was broken in two. Like what the F happened during the night that huge thick chunk of obsidian broke into? Because like obsidian is a protective stone. So what the hell happened? Because like you don't break it on the pillow or something. So what was it exposed to that make it break in two? So I was like, whoa.
Yolanda's getting channeled. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, I was really trying to get them. I wondered if they were just going to come through about the selenite flower of life there. I mean, I think it's the flower of life.
Yeah.
Or the geometry. Yeah. I wasn't sure, but yeah, okay.
I think it's the circles, yeah.
Yeah. And I got a couple things just come in because I guess I was listening too. I wasn't completely in a channeling state, but I got a couple of things about your own force, something about it coming through you, Pamela. It's something that happened to do with you more so than just the coffee and your intention. But see, when it's cut off like that, I have to give it a minute. And that's what I was trying to do. But I believe what they're saying is, and what they're kind of giving me visually anyway, is that you have this intention for your field and your experience.
Mhm.
And if that thing passing through isn't really matching your intention, so it had something to do with your own intention for your body, your experience. And so the energy responding to that. So, and I'm not certain, and they're not giving me how that works, right? Like
Right.
the, I guess, physics of it, the science of it. They're not giving me the science of it or anything, but
Interesting.
something to do with that. It's coming through you. Yeah. Whew. That was powerful. That made me sweat a little bit. I was trying to,
Yeah.
I was listening. Now I'm sweating. Yeah. But, and the obsidian, you know, I've had a lot of experiences about that. I've got some selenite here that was, it used to be a palm, you know, one of the palm, the things that you hold while you meditate, right? Smooth. And it's broken now into 3 pieces, and I actually keep it. Some people think it's a bad omen. These are beings. Like, this is alive with consciousness. Everything has consciousness, but this has a very immediate, like, it's got a purpose and it understands its purpose. And so combined with my intention, it just serves a different purpose at that time. So I was trying to see if, you know, there was something coming through trying to harm you at that time, and that's why it broke, or if it was just time for you to stop using it.
Right.
Okay.
Good point.
I didn't get an answer, but you are yourself are so now you're probably going to get your own answer now.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, no, I also recognize it with other crystals and like energetic, I wouldn't say like appliance, like I have, I like from Arcturus Ra, like we talked about him before we started. Like he does the gamma trunky, and he has like different types of like high vibrational tools that you can use. And that's like a pendant. And I had that, and I think I wore that for a year or so. And after a time, it started to become very heavy.
Yeah.
It's almost like I felt this like pressure in my chest when it was like on me, and I like felt like, okay, like maybe I should stop wearing it. Like I think I also like absorb stuff. That's kind of what I felt because I was like living. Oh, it's 9/11 right now here.
Ooh,
So
111 for me.
okay, nice. And it was like absorbing some dense stuff. Then I recognized that like putting it in like a plastic wrap and like burying it underground for a week or two really helped because
All right.
like the grounding energy like neutralized whatever it was absorbing. And I had like another occasion. I why I have it there in the drawer. I will like make it maybe take it out in a few minutes when I'm not talking. It's like a wristband type of thing. I think it has like crystals and magnets in it. And basically it's like stimulating different parts of your meridian system. And like all these parts are like that flow here go to the heart and like the upper levels uh, above the diaphragm, basically, in this part of the body. So it's like very energizing, giving you more physical strength and like yeah, like physical energy, basically. And it really worked. It was really good for quite some time. And after like half a year, like my bones started to hurt. Like in
Okay.
this area where I was wearing it, I could like literally feel my bones hurting deep within, and I took it off and it like went away. So I'm not sure what happened with it because it was really good. So yeah, maybe I will try to neutralize it with the earth again. So maybe it will help too.
This is a very good point to bring up right now because we're coming up on one of the most powerful full moons of our year here on the 17th, the lunar eclipse harvest moon that we're having. This is one method of charging or cleaning our stones. A lot of people forget. I'll get reminded by spirit, similar to what Guardian just said, is that spirit will start giving me visuals of like, I'm one of those. I'm a geek. I'm full on a geek, man. And like, I keep seeing myself as Frodo with the ring around my neck, and it just cuts into your neck. You know, that just it's so heavy, and because I'll be wearing the same stones around my neck for too long without having cleaned them. The moon is one way to do it. You can also do it with salt. The sun is helpful for it. You can bury these things. I also got one of those keys from Arcturus Raw, and it's actually hanging by my window. I haven't put it back on my neck for the same purpose. It just became very heavy. It no longer was helping me. Like it did a good job, and now it's full or something. I don't know how to clean it.
So basically, it has like, I don't know, like how micro mini quartz crystals in it, and I think it's made out of brass or something, or some kind of conductor alloy or something.
Right.
Yeah, like maybe you should try cleaning it. It really worked well. Like burying your crystals. Yeah, but I think like you should like find a really good spot, which is like clean energetically, like preferably like somewhere peaceful and very close to nature, like not, I don't know, like in front of your apartment complex or something, where you have much traffic and a lot of people and you have very dense energies. Like find a very peaceful place close to nature and really, really good.
Yeah, that's a good idea. A lot of people are concerned about burying their stones because the safety of it. And there's something that this is leading to one other point that I wanted to make before I forget, is that something that I find useful to do is to bring earth into the home. Like this is, I did it on just, whatever you say, it's, coincidence or whatever. But one day I just like to garden, and one day I brought soil into the home early in the middle of the winter. This was back when I still had seasonal depression regularly, until I found out if I need to play with soil or put your feet in the soil, I don't have those symptoms any longer at all. And because I was living in the Great White North, of course, and it gets icy and cold and you can't ground, so bringing dirt into the house. You can also bring clean dirt from the forest and do the same thing with your stones. Put them in jars or containers. It's better to put it in the earth, but if you don't have that option, that's one other way to make it so you have access to it. So
yeah, like how much do you bring into the house? Like, do you need to change it or recharge it? I'm going to try it out for the first time this year. Like a big bucket full or like a plate full will be enough.
Yeah, you don't need that much. You really don't need that much. I have found that it starts to seem to need to be changed. Like it just, I don't know, like you can feel it. Your heart isn't in it anymore. About the time that things are starting to melt. So it always works out. So that's like, 4 months worth of, and I'll usually bring in a bucket that's, about not quite shin deep. So, a couple of feet deep, and, not that big. And what we'll do is we'll play in it. Like we'll get like the little Hot Wheels tractors so we can play, and like, you can just put your feet on top of it. You don't need to dig your feet into it. There's also been times where we've just sprinkled a little bit on like a cookie sheet. You don't need to like have a lot of it. It's really surprising how little you need, though, because I think the quantity is that's how much it charges itself, because then you dump it back in and it gets clean again. Like it's weird. Like it's, if you put it with the village, then the village brings it back up again, and then so and I have found that if you do it with your hands instead of your feet, it takes twice as long to get the same benefit. So 5 minutes with your feet and 10 minutes with your hand, so
yeah. I also want to like add something. I don't remember, I don't have the link or anything. Like I've just seen a video. There's this guy YouTube channel called Pygmy. He does some fitness stuff, and he was like doing a video on grounding and earthing and the benefits of it. And I didn't know that there's like this device that you can buy that will show you, I don't know, like whatever it's touching, is it grounded or not? So some kind of electric device for checking stuff. And it was like very interesting. Like he was going out and like doing different types of stuff indoors to like check with the device, like is he grounded or not? And it's like very interesting. For example, when you like wash your hands or when you connect to flowing water, you're being grounded. So that's also interesting. Or if you're like touching appliances that have grounding, then you're grounded.
Yeah.
Although you like in his experience, like as we're doing these experiments, like it doesn't have the same profound effect as like being outside, but
Right.
still you're grounded to a certain extent.
Right.
I was noticing Elsa said crystals feel and energies like us, all the buzz, and they're a little tired like us.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I feel. Totally agree with that. I also want to say that people are making stuff, beautiful things that are like crystals that are really out of different plasma. There's Alessandra Giglioli. I hope I'm saying her beautiful Italian name properly, y'all, okay? And she makes these things, like this is something that she made that comes with, it's got like a grounding, it's not really called a grounding plate, you guys, but this is what I'm calling it, okay? And it forms a portal. Now this is made, now remember earlier I was talking, Pamela, about how through your field and your experience, there's this specific thing. So this is what I'm saying we're powerful enough to do. No different with Arcturus Ra. It's coming through his field,
Right.
what he's experienced, his technology and his purpose, and then creating this new thing. This is new. I mean, it's not new, right? But now it's new. Do you know what I mean? With the intention and the technology specifically through her, but all of us. It's just amazing. I don't know why these things come to me. They're supposed to. So someone needs to hear that. Something wants to come through someone here, clearly.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, that was a big confirmation. So yeah, someone definitely needed to hear that. So yeah, what's coming through, whoever that is, maybe probably more than one person, whatever wants to come through you is coming through with your technology. We need it. So come out with it. I will tell you, this woman-made, human-made thing, I should say human, doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, she just happens to be a woman. Arcturus Ra is a man. So this human-made thing sits with my crystals and lights them up. They actually recharged around that.
Right.
Okay. Partly also through my intention, my field, my belief in her. You see how this works? So my understanding plus belief plus technology in my field works with, So you guys know how this works. So I'm saying these words because somebody's getting activated. In case anybody's wondering why she keeps saying these specific things. Yes, somebody is getting lit up right now.
Right.
But yeah.
Belief. You have brought up the most important thing, that Spirit has not been so persistent about this. Belief is the fuel, that is the juice, the gas that fuels all things. If you don't believe what you're doing, it's not going to work as well, at least. You know, like many of the things that we're talking about require, wow, you got fireworks, Yolanda Marie. Do that.
How did you do that?
I don't know where they came from.
It was your belief.
My belief.
Well, I think that you have the stage now. Go ahead, Yolanda Marie.
I was done. Those fireworks did what they wanted to do on their own. But no, what you're saying, you guys are lighting me up anyway. I'm getting activated by being here. I was extremely excited to come and be amongst other adult people. No offense to my beautiful giant baby children who are also awake. I just haven't done this in a while, you guys. So anyway, enough about it. But I'm excited. Thank you for lighting me up. And as usual, who's coming through here feels awesome. So I'm happy to be able to participate in this. So maybe that's what the fact for, y'all.
Hey, Kay said something that she, at the end of her sentence, she put the Aquarian symbol there, right? This is the modern day Aquarian symbol. It's 3 peaks. There's double. This is why I'm bringing this up, because this is a code that a lot of people have been having. Spirit isn't using the 3 peaks. They're using the double. So it's 2 M's. They're M's on top of each other, like Wonder Woman, but upside down. So it's M's. And we've been getting this a lot lately. And I just found out that means Aquarius. And we're in a pause right now. For those of you who know this, we're in a pause of the age of Aquarius. It started on September 1st, the pause. And it goes until November 19th. We go back into the age of Aquarius again for 19 years and so many months. And so this is so we can resolve things that were left behind, unseen, unfinished, like the loose hairs, the loose threads, and so that's what this time is for. And so that's why we all feel so unsettled in some ways, or we're like, oh, but we're back to what's familiar. So while you're here, know it's temporary. And it's like you got the chance to go to a new school, you graduated, and now you're going back to your last school. And you get to remember you forgot things in your locker, or you forgot to say goodbye to your favorite teacher, or, those types of things. That's what we're doing in the next few weeks, and so to stabilize the energy that's coming in, knowing that what we're doing is temporary. So that was important. I don't know why.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I feel like that was important for all of us to remember. I feel like I needed to hear that again, just from things that have happened to me recently. I mean, I might have said this before, and a lot of people are going to relate to what I'm about to say, you guys, okay? So nobody take offense, but I'm not really I'm not peoply. I'm not a peopling person. And there was a family reunion recently that almost threw me completely out of pocket. I had to decompress. And I love they're beautiful people, but it's a different frequency. And anyhow, I won't get into all that. So, but thank you for the reminder, because we are revisiting. Like 3 or 4 years ago, I wouldn't have even gone, but I was guided to get your kids to this family reunion, go and put your frequency there, love on people. And it was amazing. Then of course I, had to go into a mild coma to regenerate and clear and all of that. Right. And that's okay. But a lot of revisiting. Some of it is the retrograde too, obviously too, but I think it's more what you're talking about.
Yeah. And remembering, I mean, I said this at the beginning, but we have a lot of significant things happening in the heavens as well. Oh, by the way, this is my one I'm looking the most forward to, is that comet that has the 26,000 year orbit. That's a galactic year. That was 26,000 years ago, was the memories that I have. That's where I came from. And that was the last awakening window. We had 3. This is the 3rd one. And this particular comet was there. And guess what? The definition of what it's called, I can't pronounce it. I tried. I've tried. Anyway, it means Purple Mountain Atlantis.
Okay.
The name of the comet means Purple Mountain Atlantis.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's going to be brighter than any star in the sky on the 1010 portal on October 10th. It's here for a full month, or more than a full month, rather. Between the 10th and the 12th is when it gets to be a magnitude of 3 in the night sky, which is bright. It's going to be brighter than anything else out there. So if you get a chance, check it out. But then remembering too, we're moving into the Friday the 13th. We have the super full moon that's going to be in an eclipse on the 17th. We got all of these things that are occurring right now, and of course today is 9/11, and I saw a lot of comments that many people are feeling more energy right now, and they're having more ascension symptom experiences right now. And I would say this has a lot to do with it, so I would like to have brought that up again. So there we go.
No. And I was, I didn't mean to go. I was like getting something while you were talking. And also the Arcturians wanted to bring up, it's not a big deal to bring up anymore, because I think we've kind of passed, but I'll just say, so when 9/11, originally happened, we shot off into a different reality, actually, at that time, but not just one. Because I've always wondered about that. I didn't ask a lot about it, and it wasn't like an intentional thing. It just hasn't been something I've channeled a lot about for some reason. And so I just thought this morning to ask about that. And the only specifics they gave me were that it wasn't just one reality that splintered off after 9/11. So I don't know what that means, if that means something to some, because you guys are channels. There are channels here. You guys might have more information come through because of this. Yeah, that's what I got. I don't want to try to get more into it,
I've definitely got that 100%. But I'll let Guardian take it if he wants. I don't want to. I feel like I keep forgetting to let you talk, Guardian. Sorry.
Okay, well, I'm not going to address the 9/11 aspect of it, but yeah, like we had a question from Jenny, I think, yeah. Suggestions for dealing with fatigue. I'm resting, I am allowing for rest, but I need to get some stuff done in the physical too. Yeah, like that's a great combination. Yeah, like I think I also said like in the past, like recognize like when these periods like come up, when things are going to be slower and more difficult for you, and like yeah, like try to do the bare minimum. I don't know, only the essential stuff, and like focus only on that. And yeah, like I really found that going out and like just being outdoors really helps to like calm things down and like put things into perspective and like realign you. It's almost like a breath of fresh air amongst like all the I don't know like the busy moments and hours of the day, plus the fatigue along the day. So yeah, I try to spend time alone outside. It's really awesome.
Yeah.
There's something more to add to this too. This is something that it's only really come into my awareness, it's been relatively recent, is the amount of parasites that we have in our bodies that we are meant to purge. We're meant to do parasite cleanses, and we don't have to go very far back in the time of our existence that we've had, everyone knew to do these cleanses. It was regular. Your grandma had a book on her counter in her kitchen, and like everybody knew. And then there were the book burnings, and all of a sudden, this is something this is the newest part, is that a lot of these, one of the ways to create the addictive agent of some of these foods, quote unquote foods that are being made, is that they're being put in there on purpose, to these parasites to make you want to crave that food more. Why am I saying this? Not to scare anybody. This is to keep in mind we need to do these parasite cleanses, and when we don't, it does draw us into a deeper fatigue. That's another part of it. So there's a lot of regular, easy not over the counter, but in your cupboard. You can use thyme, you can use cloves, you can use coconut. You can use, the list is, there's so many things. Go ahead.
Use wormwood or black walnut are really good ones, but be careful. So this is not medical advice. Please, I got to give a disclaimer. Right. Those might be a little bit heavy, especially if you get them in a supplement, like in the pill form. Then you really need to just really pay attention. Make sure you don't have a problem with your detoxification organs already when you're about to do a cleanse. That's another thing. Any of them, even if it's like, you can do the ones with ginger, and just because it might be hard if say if your kidney already has a problem. Now, it doesn't have to be a big problem, but say if it's sluggish. We're all very sensitive. A lot of you will already be able to feel that. So just sort of pay attention. Maybe if you can get a test done from your doctor in advance. But if not, a lot of you don't do that. Just really pay attention to your bodies. Again, but this isn't medical advice. I have to just say that because I hate it. I have to say that for whatever reason. But yeah, so wormwood, black walnut. I didn't know thyme. So now I'm going to go looking at thyme.
Yeah, we got tons of time.
Yeah, there are some other very simple ones. Like these are more for like intestinal stuff, like your guts and stuff like that. Like walnut, the green walnut, and also the leaves, like that kills parasites. And it's also really good for like exterior, like if you have, I don't know, how do you call those? Like parasites in your skin, like I don't know what their name in English is. Like there are different types of like rashes and like when like little insects or
Oh,
something like get under your skin.
yeah, like ringworm, like a ringworm or something like that. I think you mean ringworm, I think.
Okay,
I
I
bet
don't
what
know the
he's talking
English.
about is something that they've intentionally not included in our vocabulary as of late in this culture. This is something that just started to happen. I've started to notice what it is, though. Guardian, I know what you're talking about. I just don't know what it's called because I
Okay.
did. Spirit told me warm water, Epsom salt, apple cider vinegar, and this clay that I used for like it's like a mask. It's a powder clay, and I was like,
Tonight, clay,
well,
maybe?
what's that?
Maybe bentonite? Maybe
It was called
bentonite clay.
it was called
Called
Aztec
that.
clay. Is all I know for sure. Probably.
Oh,
And then
okay.
so I did it, and then all of a sudden, like this stuff was coming out of my pores. I did it in a bathtub. It's a foot soak, I guess, is a better way to do it. But and these little worms, literally these little worms started coming out of my pores, like
Oh my gosh.
all over my body. And yeah, dude, I'm gonna be doing that every freaking day now. You know what I mean? Like, get that stuff out.
I think it's called scabies.
Oh,
I did some,
scabies.
Oh, here, yeah, I see
yeah,
what
I
you also just said.
yeah, I did some Wikipedia stuff. Okay. Yeah, like for intestines, like walnut and also like pumpkin seed, like they hate that. Like pumpkin seed oil, or just simply like roast a bit and like have some snack and put it in your food. They hate those stuff, and that's like all natural, and they like expel all the nasties from your system.
Right. This also happens naturally when we ground barefoot, walking barefoot on the soil. These things leave our feet. One thing that my Swedish grandma used to always do whenever we were sick, she would cut an onion in half and stick it on our chest or our ear if you're having ear infection. And so that's something that I didn't realize other people don't know about. So the side that's cut, put it against your skin, wherever you're able to tolerate it. I wouldn't suggest you putting it on your eyeball, but putting it in a nylon sock so you can hold it against your ear is something that we used to do when we were little. I'll still do that. And if I have an ear infection, you can hear it pop. It goes, you can feel it pop out of your ear.
Oh yeah, I did that too this winter. Yeah.
Yeah. It's good stuff. Put it on the bottom of your feet. It'll pull the stuff out of your body through the pores of your feet. There's a lot of things that we're remembering that this is a normal this is just as simple as brushing your teeth. That's another parasite removal that we do every day. There's others.
So true. The remembering.
Yeah.
There's going to be so much more to that too. Remembering and then adding natural technology onto that. It's funny because when we're saying technology, we don't, I'm not meaning like a computer or like electronics, not that, but natural technology.
Right.
So the ground, understanding focus, our own powers, that are unseen as of yet.
Right.
That's going to be another one. So very cool.
Oh, diatomaceous earth. I can never say this the right way. I think I got close to it. This is one that people talk about all the time and talk about how useful it is. Why are we bringing this up is that a lot of us haven't realized that that our everyday products, that what's in the air, what's being sprayed, all those different things our bodies absorbs them. We're big sponges, and so if you can and you allow yourself to, purge yourself of these things, then the symptoms aren't as intense. Sleep is another one. Letting yourself get as much sleep as you can, finding that your circadian rhythms off is not going to help you, so allowing yourself to release the guilt and shame revolving around taking naps,
Yeah. And yes. Isn't that interesting? Adults are shamed into not resting.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And of course, the water, being sure that you're drinking clean water, and charging this water. You can make moon water, you can make sun water, crystal water. I saw a lot of examples, people saying this. I those little juice things, you put a piece of fruit in the lid and then you put the lid on top and it like has a little basket where it holds the fruit. You can put a crystal in there in that little thing. You can just throw a crystal in the water, rinse it off before, and or you can stick the crystal, especially if it's a glass container, it's even better, out in the moonlight, in the sunlight with the crystal, and the water will taste different. In fact, people like me who see energy, it looks different. It looks like rainbows. It's crazy. It looks like tracer rainbows that comes off the aura of the water, and that doesn't happen to the water normally. So
I will say this. I'm trying to remember to do this so I don't just because of the delay. But yeah, I just had to be. I used to do that all the time, put crystals in my water. But you do have to be sure, just in case everybody might know this, but just in case somebody doesn't know, it needs to be really polished or smooth. If it's a rough crystal, it can't have a lot of divots because then you can get some sediment from the crystal and ingest that, and it could maybe cause another little problem. But yeah, the energy of different crystals is intense.
Yeah.
I had fluorite in water for the past few years. Fluorite, pink amethyst. No, I'm sorry, rose quartz. Okay. Rose quartz and purple regular amethyst, like what you think of as the color of amethyst. And then something, I had a blue stone in there. I can't remember what it was. And the combination of those stones was what I channeled with that all the time. It was, you can feel it when you drink it. It's like light. Well, it depends, I guess, if you're clairsentient or not, how you feel things. But yeah, for me, I feel. So yeah, it would feel like pop, 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 pop all of the time. And then like you guys said, eventually I backed off. How same as when you're wearing the crystal. I guess it's the same idea. I had to back off of then drinking the crystal water. But yeah, for people who haven't done that, highly recommended to put crystals in water. Safely, carefully, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, and you can't use selenite, as far as I know, too. Nothing that's like selenite that has the shredding, or I don't know how to say that properly, but
Yeah, those little. I have a bunch of examples of it right now with this bright broken one. I'm sure you guys can't see that, but there's just these little.
Okay.
I can't. There we go. Hey, you can see that little piece.
Yeah.
That just one. It just falls off. You don't want to drink that.
Yeah, but yeah, like you said, Pamela, I think like 2 or 3 years ago, you had these like little balls that you got from someone that like purifies water, and you said like you threw it in a well or something.
Yeah.
Like, what are those? I don't remember.
They were magnets. They were round magnets made from, I believe they were made from shungite. Pretty sure they were made from shungite. I have to do some research. It was from the Crystal Roots movement. I wish I remember. I feel bad because there's somebody who's like the main person, and I can't remember his name right now off the top of my head. But if you got on a search engine and looked up the Crystal Roots movement, you'll find their website, and you can purchase them there. The concept. What was that?
I was just saying, you said it's a ball. It cleans water is what you're saying. I'm literally, that sounds amazing.
It's designed to assist the trees to grow in the ninth dimensional trees. The idea behind it is that the trees that we have around us have forgotten how to grow, and that's why they're small and short and sickly. I mean, even the big trees that we have are small in contrast to the trees that we had not very long ago. In fact, we still have photographic evidence of it all over the place, of the early days of the lumberjacks. Jason Estes, thank you, Elizabeth. That's his name.
Okay.
Yeah, so and he does the MTVO, I think is his YouTube channel. So you can find this information. Go ahead.
Okay.
The idea here is that Source seeds, that's what they're called. Thank you. Yeah. And the idea here is that if you plant a sapling with one of these little stones, these magnets, then it will be able to grow into as a ninth dimensional tree, and therefore a very, very large tree. Like you'd be surprised how many of these are being planted all over the world right now. It's pretty cool. So it's pretty neat. If you, though, want to go and find on that website, you can purchase them privately, and you can either use them for the trees, or I was throwing them in the water. Like, they're really cool. They're really neat. So also,
Thank you.
someone made a really important point, like we talked about all these different technologies and things that you can purchase and all this, but remembering we make our own holy water all the time. You just say nice things to it. You say, I love you, and you thank it for doing what it is that you want it to do for you, and also remember that your body is mostly water, and your water can hear you. So when you speak down on yourself, when you use low self-worth talk, your body can hear you. Your water's listening, and it changes. There's Dr. Emoto. You look up his research. You type that, and you'll see all these examples of how water looks so beautiful when you say something kind, or you're praying, you're saying, I love you, or I appreciate you. And then if you say something unkind, it looks distorted and gray and yellow and nasty, And so I do this in the bath. I say awesome things to my water as I'm in the bathtub, and it changes the frequency of my bath. Also, your water needs to be told what to do, not told as a command, but it's like, before, I used to take a bath and hope that it was cleansing me. The same way if tossing a couple of toddlers into a room full of toys. If I don't say, please put the toys away, they won't. So I've got to say, thank you for doing this and for doing that. And then it knows this is what it is that's needed for my body right now. So
it's beautiful. Also, on the subject of water making up most of our body, immediately I got shown in electricity.
Yeah.
And so again, connecting in with your focus to the field around you is way easier than we think. It's so much easier than we think. You can feel powerless and focus for like 5 minutes in a meditation on that. You'll start to see it or feel it, whatever your gift is.
Right.
You'll tap in. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And this is just such a fun conversation. I kind of feel I don't want it to end, but I can tell Guardian's getting tired. It's really late where
Pretty okay so far, yeah.
Oh,
it's getting close to 10 p.m., but I'm okay, so.
Yeah.
Do limes work instead of lemons? Does anybody know the answer to that question before we get going?
To what type of plants or what?
Do limes
work of lemons?
Yeah.
They do different things. I mean, from the one perspective, they have similar stuff that they have, they have similar vitamins, in them, but then they have different properties as well. I know lemons are antiviral, and they detoxify. I'm sure you guys have more. That's just what came to mind with me. I'm not channeling. This is just what's coming to mind to my human here. But limes, like, they each are their own separate organism. So if you want to come from the channeling standpoint, that's what they're giving me.
Right.
So basically, you can use them for the same thing, but the lemon is its own organism, and you can have it do really, really good jobs. Like, that's not the way that they meant for me to say that, but really wonderful things they do a focused good job of, especially the antiviral, especially they really want me to focus on that for some reason, you guys. So lemons being antiviral is for some reason extremely important right now. Okay. Yeah. Whereas the limes are more with the vitamins that you need in your body. I don't know if that helped.
No, that helps a lot.
Okay.
All of a sudden I've been told over and over again by spirit, when it's time to get groceries, get some lemons. Mm-hmm. And we've been drinking lemon water instead of anything else, a lot of it too. We've been calling it happy water, and it makes it even feel better. It's even happier when you call it happy water, and it becomes that. Go ahead.
Well, and detox. I just wanted to throw that in there while you were talking. I meant to say super detox. Go ahead.
Yeah, like I also start my day. I always make a big bowl of hot green tea, and I drink it with lemon, and it's like super for kickstarting your digestive system and cleansing your whole body. So it's really good. And I also remember, I'm not sure like how you read it in English, but I think like penicillin or that like pharmaceutical stuff, like it's created from I think the outer layers of lemon, I think, or something.
Interesting.
I think like when the lemon is like decomposing, it like produces some kind of specific fungus or something, and it's like penicillin is like was at least created initially from that, if I remember correctly from school. So that was a long time.
Mold. It was some type of mold. I always got it in my head that it was bread, but it wasn't on bread. You're right. It was lemon. That's right.
Lemons.
Lemon mold. Quinine. Is that how you say that?
Quinine. That's how I say it. I don't know.
I've never been somebody who claims to be a master of the language that we speak.
Hey, I used to be before I woke up and then had other languages coming through. I don't know if I'm the only one, but you lose what you used to have, if I'm making sense. Like the English language in my case.
Yeah. One of my degrees is English with a teaching emphasis, but
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I was never at home with like spoken language or written language. I always had problems with it. And I just found out a few years ago that I'm dyslexic. So after finishing high school and college, I'm like, oh, like I had some learning difficulties. Okay.
It's surprising the number of individuals who are starseeds that I talk to regularly that are dyslexic. It's fascinating. Yeah, and now that they're becoming more inclusive, most of the people that we interact with are considered to be on the spectrum in some way, too, in ways that we didn't know that were part of the spectrum before, which is something that, I mean, come on, we're a bunch of ETs, like we're like Spock trying to fit into social studies. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, yep. Yeah, it's fun. And a lot of kids who are, I mean, I just ran into this a few days ago at the family reunion in a beautiful way. There's an autistic kid, which is no big deal. So to me, that was like no big deal. That's like, oh my gosh, he's so far ahead of the rest of us. Yeah. But everyone doesn't know that yet, you know? So it's sort of like this huge, beautiful moment to go, hey, this is actually super awesome. Right. You know? There's the communication, especially nonverbal autism. The communication is nonverbal for a reason. They have communication. It's just beyond what we're understanding, those of us who grew up with verbal communication. That's right. So we're like relearning things from their perspective, and it's forcing us into it. It's all with like awesome purpose, but hard in the moment, you know, depending. I don't mean to make light of the journey of parents, that it's not necessarily an easy journey. So I don't mean to make light of any of that, but no, they're pretty brilliant. Yeah. The kids that are coming in. Yeah. So.
And being in society sometimes is all we need for the trauma that every one of us need trauma to heal through. You know, and so unfortunately, that's good. The spirit calls it the purification by fire. That's part of the awakening process. You know, so. Well, does anybody have anything more that we'd like to add before we get closing up for this conversation?
Yeah, I was just picking up. There were some comments. Let's see. Sherry Kitchen, so-called normal range is just middle of the balance. Yeah. Just people. I wondered if anybody was going to comment a little bit on, you know, what we think of as learning disabilities and all that, because we're going to find out they really aren't.
Right.
But the way that lemons alkalize our bodies because there's a lot of calcium in them. Lemons also increase hydrochloric acid in your stomach to help digest food. This is good information coming through the feed.
Right.
About what we talked about there.
Yeah. The career that I had leading throughout my life before I started doing this was working with assisting and helping people with disabilities, with varying degrees of disabilities. And 100%, they're the most spiritual people I've ever met. And the smartest. People use different, the wrong measurings to declare intelligence, in my opinion. And they are talking to us. They're just not using their voice, because you know what? When I talk to spirit, they get frustrated with me. They do. Impatient is a good word, because I take so long. Because even though we're doing telepathic communication, I still translate it into, and then there was, those kind of words that it takes so freaking long. There's like, all right, we got what we need. Go home. You're taking too long. We got to finish up. Gotten this done last Tuesday in here, and it's just these beautiful pure souls are doing this. And I would say that the push to teach people how to, these individuals, these who would be considered autistic or intellectually disabled in some way, to communicate, to speak, is a great sad thing that we do. It's not as needed as we think. Yeah, there's frustration, but most of the time they're frustrated because they want you to see what they can. That's what this is, that you see most of the time. So I've been having a lot of dreams about these individuals the past 3 days, actually. It's fact, I haven't been on that career in over a decade, and I've not. It's just on nonstop every night right now. So there's a lot coming in about that.
I'd be interested to hear, like, as this transpires, Pamela, what happened? I don't know if there is an end, but you know what I mean, what it builds to here with the dreams.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what it comes up to. And I got to answer, Kenny, when we have paired channels, when more than one channel is running it, I don't get to see all of the comments. And so I only see some of them. I don't know who decides which ones are more important. So those of you who I didn't click, it's not personal. So we love you, all of you. And we're so happy that all of you joined us today. You typically will be able to go back and see all the comments that were missed by going to Guardian's channel or coming to my channel afterwards and seeing the live feed at a later time. So, because the Guardian's streaming it simultaneously to me right now. So, anyway, thank you all for joining me today. This has been so much fun. I hope we do it again soon.
I hope so
like each month at least, if we can.
What was that, Guardian?
Each month, if we can.
Yeah, that would be fun. That's a good goal to shoot for. So yeah,
should we shoot for? Oh, sorry, I'm still talking. I'm not supposed to be.
Go ahead, please do. What?
Little kid. I was just gonna ask, should we shoot for earlier? But I could have waited to ask that. But yeah,
Earlier,
for Guardian's sake,
like
maybe an 11 o'clock or a 12, or I don't know.
We'll talk about it. And
Yeah.
why don't we have our own chat about the time? I'll have to look at. Everybody has calendars, and they all have their schedule and their sessions and stuff that we do.
Right.
But yeah, I love the idea of meeting every month. That would be so cool if we can. Some things happen, life happens. And keep in mind for y'all that Friday we are doing our group Zoom meeting. I missed the last week or so because of the family stuff that was going on. So please look for the link to that in the YouTube community section, as well as on Facebook and on the Telegram groups. You'll see the links for those in the coming days. And that will be on Friday at our regular time. So it's free. Love you all. Thank you all for joining me.
Love you.
Love you.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Sending lots of love to everyone. Have an awesome weekend when the time comes.
Too. I know you guys too. Thanks for having me as always. This is always fun. So I appreciate it. Hopefully we can definitely do this again. I agree with Guardian. We should try to make it happen once a month. But you guys, you got to be those neighbors. I hate to say this, who like beat on my door sometimes. I'm telling you, and especially now, I don't know about you guys, but the sleeping and the napping and the needing to rest is out of control.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's another level.
It's a whole
So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Well, we'll for sure plan on it. I love you all. Thank